In 2007, I had the opportunity to work for a finance company in Perth. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed what I was doing. A year later, the owner decided to give me a partnership into that firm. So I took up the opportunity, invested some money in that. Everything was going smoothly. We were doing so well, enjoyed ourselves. Heaps of money then. We could travel here and we'd travel there and having a good life, basically sending my children to private school, Catholic schools. Didn't have a worry in that sense. And unfortunately in 2010, something significant thing happened in my life. The business that was running very smoothly all fell apart. The main person, the main owner, he sort of absconded with the money and left us high and dry. Overnight, everything we lost. We lost our income, our investment, and I was quite shocked. We didn't know what to do. My wife was not working then, and I had to support my 3 children who were all in private school. So we were wondering, how are we going to cope with this? Then in November 2010, not only did the business fall apart, 2 of my brothers passed away in Malaysia. I went back for my oldest brother's funeral. After 8 days, I returned back to Perth. And when I opened the door, when I came back from the airport, my wife says, I've got some bad news for you. I said, listen, I just came back from my brother's funeral. He said, no, your other brother passed away as well. I was quite struck by that. I had a lot of anxiety issues, so I forced myself to go back for his funeral, came back, and I was thinking, these guys are pretty young, they're only 60-something, they passed away. And there were a lot of anxiety issues in me. Business went down, and then my brother's passing away, the children all were school still, and I was wondering how are we going to cope. A lot of pressures on me. My wife was trying to support me as well. She couldn't find a job at that point in time, but God had other ideas. So with all these anxieties that I was going through, I had a choice of 2 things, either to follow Jesus or not to follow him, or follow on my own strength. After going through all the problems that I had no other choice but to follow Jesus and think, God, I have to rely on you. I have to rely on your providence. And I've never looked back since. During this point in time where I started relying on God, something happened to my wife that was such a blessing. She has never worked in Australia before. For the first time, she was called upon by a school to work for 3 months. Now, any job that would be taken would be fantastic because I was not working then. So she started going for 3 months contract she had. Whatever little food that she brought for us was enough for us to sustain us. But still our mortgages were not paid because they were increasing and increasing. So that was one anxious part that we still have to deal with. I kept on going. Then in 2013, while I was playing squash, after playing squash, I returned home. I was having heart attacks. My wife took me up to the Fremantle Hospital. Within a space of a couple of hours, I was already back in the ward with 1 stent in my heart. Fortunately, I had my attack in the hospital itself. Aside from that, as I said, I didn't have any private health cover then because I lost everything. But through God's intervention, I didn't have to pay a single cent. Everything was paid for. And you can see the hand of God there already. Also, in 2013, one day the principal's secretary called me up and she said, listen, Soma, your fees are well past due already. When are you going to pay the bill? It's already mounted up to quite a lot of money. So anyhow, I decided to go up there, not having any money to pay her. And she asked me, how much can you pay to settle your account? Because it's already towards the end of the year. I said, listen, I didn't have much at all. I can't pay you anything. She said, just write down what you can afford. We have to close this off, the account. So I said, listen, I'm too embarrassed to tell you, I don't even have a single cent to pay you now. I can't. So she just wrote down from about $8,300. She just told me, she wrote down, pay the $328 and we call it off. It's a goodwill. Now, which God will do that for you? Then another incident happened as well. In 2016, my poor wife has always been very careful. She had cancer. Cancer of the appendix, which is a very unusual sort of cancer. Not realizing that it was, perhaps she had it for about 2 years, so much so that the cancer spread throughout her whole body. That was a shock to us. We couldn't believe it. What am I going to do? My kids were still growing up, still going to school. She is here. The worst case scenario is when she passes away, what's going to happen? So all these thoughts started coming to our minds, but she was very focused on God. She said, God is my provider. He will do something miraculous. Anyhow, 2016, when she had a cancer, she was fortunate enough to have a wonderful specialist who put her in although we didn't have a private cover, she put her in a government hospital, but under the private health care. In other words, she was given a single room. The operation took 24 hours, and she spent 40 days in the hospital after the recovery. It's like about 40 days of her wilderness experience. Came back from the operation, she had the vision of Mother Mary and started talking to her. So today she keeps saying that, so all this is miraculous kind of things that's happening. When she was discharged, we were shocked to realize that the bill was $420,000 because for 40 days you have to pay for the specialists, the chiros, and you have to pay for the pharmacies and all that. But God is a provider. He provided all for us because it was through the government they paid that. After all the blessings that's been happening to me and the way things God has been playing in my part, I was very lucky that one of my friends introduced me to a ministry, an online ministry that I did in the US, that I started doing a course via online. I've started doing the Old Testament, the New Testament, Paul's epistles, and everything was done, it's for free. You can pay whatever you want to. So I started having a deeper understanding, a lot deeper understanding about the Old Testament, the New Testament, and my faith only increased much exponentially. It's increased incredibly. My wife and I were also doing it together. So she was, certain parts she will leave aside, some parts she will carry on with me because of a time constraint. But I kept on doing these courses, and it's only helped me to emphasize the love I have for our God, the blessings that has been flowing up to that. I started relying. I've gone back to my business now that I've only asked that God is only a provider. He's already been providing all the time for me. I started going for confession now almost every other week, once a fortnight at least. I realized that we have to get closer to God and begin to revere God so much more that when I go and receive the Eucharist, I take it in a different perspective now. I begin to realize that that is our Savior, our Jesus, who's in the tabernacle, is sitting in the tabernacle. I started getting involved in my parish. I'm an acolyte in the parish. I help out in the Mass as well. I'm also part of the other ministries that I was also a council member of the parish. I get more involved in the parish, but not anymore. I've already finished my stint with the council members, but I'm still an acolyte in that ministry. As you know, it's Psalm 23 has always stuck in my mind. And there's also Matthew, I think it's 6:25, where it says, do not be anxious. Another one is John, of course, John, I have always a room for you. That is, Jesus already set up a room for us up in heaven already. So we don't have to be worried too much. And I pray that you will have some sort of inspiration, that God will touch you all in your, that it's going to help you focus on God so much, revere Him. He's a wonderful person. His mercy is so wonderful. He's always ever willing to help you. Even if you fall like the prodigal son, He'll always welcome you back. I have been a big sinner in my life. I have done so many bad things in my life, but I know Jesus is there. He's welcomed me back as a prodigal son. I can also mention that after all these experiences, I can only tell you that Jesus is my life and my Savior. He has changed my life. He changed my family's life, and to rely on Him. He is my God and Savior, and I love Him so much.